Hey everyone, meteorologist Jennifer Stanonis here as we continue to track the severe weather potential for this afternoon and into the evening hours. Right now, no alerts as you can see on the weather alert map, at least locally, but already severe thunderstorm watches and warnings issued for portions of Ohio and expecting that to expand at least into Pennsylvania, if not into portions of New York as we head through the afternoon into the evening hours. At least that atmosphere is conducive for that as we continue to watch and track it closely. We have this system that will continue to drop down from the northwest, also associated cold front, and a lot of instability out ahead of it. So we're going to continue to monitor for some of these storms expected to develop and pop and see some potentially damage out of some of the isolated thunderstorm activity. So as we zoom in now, you can see we are watching on the even visible satellite imagery some of the bubbling up of the cumulus clouds. And right now we do have this area of showers starting to develop. Quick downpour there just near Hamburg, and that continues to shift off as we zoom in here off to the east. But we're seeing some downpours there from Hamburg along the 219 down into Boston and out toward East Aurora. So we're going to continue to track more of that continuing to bubble up over the next hour, 2 hours plus especially. So there's a wide shot as that cold front continues to drop down and through as we head into the evening. A closer shot here. So there's not a lot on the radar at the moment, but as you see, some of these models picking up that quick storm development because we have the weather parameters in place for all the instability locally for some of these thunderstorms to develop and get these waves of energy allowing to help force that up. So this is what it looks like still. We're going to see some of these thunderstorms developing. It's still what it's looking like with potentially some of the damaging winds as the main threat and also some hail. So the damaging winds will be about in excess of 60 miles per hour is what we'll be watching closely. And then we have that actual cold front coming through that boundary. Still some thunderstorm activity with that just after about 7:38 p.m. is still its timing. And then it moves out pretty quickly. So shifting in from the northwest and down through to the southeast. So close-up shot northern zone. So we are still expecting, especially inland and south of the lake is where we're expecting to see most of that development, as we are thinking still a lake shadow may develop and help stabilize some of the air mass areas north. So south is where we could still see most of this activity developing, and inland, as you can see on future look. This model a little robust, but we're keeping eyes to the sky as we are looking still that weather impact alert continuing through afternoon into the evening hours. The main threats, damaging winds and large hail out of some of these thunderstorms developing. So just be weather aware and plan accordingly for potentially some of the storm damage and delayed travel as we watch some of these storms. So Storm Prediction Center still has a portion of our area under this enhanced risk with the main threat, damaging winds, 30% chance, and that's especially areas south of Buffalo and inland. Still potentially that damaging hail threat, very low chance of a pop-up tornado. We're keeping an eye on that in case, and that would be mainly inland and south. So again, the main ingredients showing probably the gusty damaging winds is the main threat, but we'll still be watching closely for the other two threats of hail and maybe that isolated thunderstorm. Of course, very heavy rain too, so we'll have to watch for a lower chance of flood threat. Temperatures well in the 70s, near 80, allowing for that moisture and that instability in place. Dew point temperatures well into the 60s, so something we'll continue to monitor for that chance as we head through the rest of the afternoon and into this evening. Dan Russell and I will be on WGRZ Plus streaming live in just about a minute, continuing tracking the severe thunderstorm potential today.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. On this weather impact alert, you just saw Jen talking about, this potential for severe weather.
We've been tracking it and we're talking about it since last Friday, and we have all the ingredients in place. Now it's kind of a wait and see mode for these thunderstorms to start developing. There's still a chance of it.
we're pretty much at what we call 0 hour, right? The next hour is going to be the key hour, I think, as far as the development of some of these strong to potentially severe storms.
And we're still keeping an eye on models, but for the most part now it's kind of shifting to the live radar, satellite visible imagery to see where we're seeing that instability, the clouds bubbling up, and we're seeing already some of these showers developing.
Yep, they're just beginning to develop. And again, this is just the early stages of what's likely going to be, I think, an active next few hours until we get the cold front that drops in around 8 p.m. or so. Once that clears, boy, tonight things do quiet down very quickly. But until about 8 p.m., again, we're going to be having to keep an eye to the sky. Weather aware is going to be really the theme, I think, this evening.
Yes, we're going to take you through the next hour here, streaming, talking about all of this, and we're able to really dive into the science, which is nice too, and track things as we are expected them to at least start to pop.
Oh, yeah. You know, and so far today, it's been a beautiful day, a very summery day, Jen, and it's that summery feel. I was actually just talking with our GM, Mr. Mark Manders, and he was even just mentioning how just taking a step outside, you can feel there's something different about today's atmosphere. And yeah, it feels like summer because now we have the warmth. But what we have seen today is humidity levels have also increased. And that's always been a big question. Do we have enough moisture in the lower levels of the atmosphere? We're just beginning to see that. As of right now, again, taking a look, the 190 here at Hamburg Street. We're still quiet in the city. Had a couple of sprinkles not that long ago. We'll be keeping an eye, especially towards Ripley down into the southern tier. I think this is where we're likely going to see some active weather as we do go through the next couple of hours. And again, we do have this weather impact alert through about 8 p.m. Pretty much at any point at this point, we do have that chance for potentially strong thunderstorms. Jen was mentioning just a little bit ago, gusty winds, damaging straight line winds. That is the biggest concern, but it doesn't mean it's the only concern. Hail is certainly going to be a possibility with some of these storms. And yes, a slight chance for an isolated weak tornado, especially into the southern tier. So once again, stay weather aware. And of course, here at Storm Team 2, we'll continue to keep you posted as we do go through the coming hours. Visible satellite. The reason why I like to look at the visible satellite, one, we get to see, are we seeing sun? Are we seeing enough sun to juice up the atmosphere? We have seen it at times today. You can see the breaks of sunshine. That's what allowed temperatures to climb into the 70s. And what we're looking at now is the development of these cumulus clouds. Are they going to turn into cumulonimbulous clouds, thunderstorm clouds? And we're just beginning to see these clouds really begin to billow up, especially from Buffalo Point south. You kind of see the cotton ball nature of some of these cloud tops. That lets you know the atmosphere, it's ripe. And now we're beginning to see those clouds build up, and we're beginning to see some storms just beginning to pop up. You saw a little thunder shower beginning to develop, just made its way through Hamburg, a little downpour there. We're going to be tracking that. It's this kind of activity where, again, just in the last few minutes, that little cell has popped. Now the question is, as it continues to track east here over the next couple of hours, so if you're watching inland from Hamburg, as you get especially towards areas of Wyoming County, we'll have to keep an eye on this little cell right here if it does continue to strengthen and pick up as it continues to kind of encounter that juicy atmosphere, if you will. Notice off to our southwest right there towards Ripley, another little shower. Again, we're just beginning the early stages here of seeing some of this activity flare up, if you will. Now, of course, it has flared up even further to the southwest. Nasty line of thunderstorms making its way through central Ohio. That piece of energy looks though it's going to remain far enough to our south where outside maybe a stray shower towards McKee, Potter County, I think that for the most part will miss us. However, as we look north of that, especially north of Detroit, right there, we got a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued just north of Detroit, Michigan. That is the cold front that we've been talking about. That is the feature that is now beginning to bump in to this warm, humid air mass. And as a result, while we are now beginning to see some of these showers kind of fire up, again, we're only in the early stages of what will be a few hours of active weather here. And even further to the southwest, another nasty line of thunderstorms making its way through southern Illinois. All of this, again, a part of the same storm system. I mentioned the fact that we do have this summery feel. Look at the temps right now. It is 77 degrees at the airport in Buffalo. It is 82. Yes, 82 right now in Batavia, 82 in Dunkirk, 79 in the Falls, 78 in Jamestown. The average high for today, about 61. So this is definitely a true summery day, not only when it comes to the warmth, but also now the humidity and also the active weather. There's a reason why we see most of our active weather, our severe thunderstorms during the summer months, because that's when we have the most juice, the most warmth in the atmosphere, the most energy. And we're seeing that also in the form of some winds. Here are the latest winds this morning. It was relatively quiet, but those winds have also been picking up here over the past couple of hours. And you can see latest gust up near 40 miles per hour in Niagara Falls, 29 miles per hour in Buffalo, 32 miles per hour there in Dunkirk. We do have a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere. A lot of it is sitting just above the surface, about 1,500 feet up. With these thunderstorms, they like to mix those winds down to the surface, and that's why we're fairly optimistic that those straight line potentially damaging winds, they're potentially going to be with us because of this right here. We're already seeing some surface winds, 30 to 40 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorms, they get, when you get gusts 60 miles per hour higher, that's when you are looking at a potential severe thunderstorm. So again, here is our future look, doing a good job of just picking up a couple of radar blips for now. But as we go through the next really hour and a half, here we are, even by 4:30. Again, the next hour and a half, look how much more activity just pops in place here on the radar, especially south and east of Buffalo. In fact, you already saw that one cell was just showing that made its way through Hamburg. So according to our future look, it is kind of showing you that cell already strengthening over the next hour, 2 hours and a half. So that's something myself and Jen will continue to keep you posted on. Now, as we get further into this evening, once we get to about 8 p.m., there's that cold front. It's going to push all that out of here. And after 8 o'clock, things settle down very quickly. By midnight or shortly after, we already have clearing skies, cooler, drier air will be moving in. And by the time you step out tomorrow morning, temperatures will start out 30s to near 40 degrees. And overall, not too bad for your Wednesday. We'll have plenty of sunshine, temperatures 50s to near 60. By the time we get into Thursday, though, here comes a warm front Thursday morning. That might give us 1 or 2 passing showers. We're going to see temperatures pop back into the 70s on Thursday and could actually be looking at another round of somewhat active weather late Thursday and into Thursday night. So again, Jen, we continue to monitor this situation. It is really just beginning to pop up. I would say literally in the next half hour, 40 minutes, if we're going to see some severe thunderstorms, I think we're going to see some of this activity roll in.
And we're already starting to see that line of cumulus developing with some of those. At least right now we're getting a thunderstorm, that one we've been tracking over the last 15 minutes. It's erupting pretty quickly, intensifying, and it does extend down into Erie. So I will take you through that. And so as we continue to monitor and track this, the atmosphere is starting to see and at least allow for the development of these thunderstorms because of just the conditions are ripe for that. So now we're seeing that. You can see the lightning bolts there on the radar with the satellite imagery and visible imagery, actually, so we could see still those the cumulus clouds bubbling up, and that's where we're starting to see that vertical development of some of these thunderstorms, and they're developing quickly as they move into a more instability, more unstable air mass is what we have locally. So we're seeing that. So I'll take you through this. So as I was just mentioning, we are seeing this kind of line developing from near East Aurora, and it's kind of extending down through Erie and Cleveland. So that's something we're going to continue to monitor closely as it continues to shift eastward and into a more unstable air mass. And that's really where we're looking at for some of that convective activity and some of these storms to start popping further. So zooming in here now, you can see right across central Erie County, got a couple lightning bolts now out of this that we've been just looking at over the last 10-15 minutes. It is strengthening quickly as it is able to tap into that more juicy air mass, as we call it. We have more of that instability that's allowed to just the more buoyancy. The air is rising and allowed to cool and condense and form now the rain showers and then interact and be able to produce the lightning. So this is what we're looking at right now. You can also see along that line starting near Dunkirk. So we're going to zoom in here and I'll put this on pause, and there you go. We have even a heavy downpour moving through East Aurora right now, right along 20A. We have some lightning out of this too, and that was the one we've been just recently tracking that just moved south of Hamburg. So already just that movement from Hamburg to East Aurora, we're seeing it intensifying. So as we zoom in here, you can see some of the other communities that we're seeing this. I'm going to turn the lightning bolts off here. Wales Center, some of the heavy downpours there as well as you head out 20A and also down into Griffin Mills. even extending down to 16 as well. And I'm going to put a quick tracker on this as we are seeing it shifting off to the east and even southeast is where we'll generally see the storm motion. So I'm actually going to put a tracker on this, and I'm actually going to use the line segment here so we can get a better feel of the direction it's going and kind of make sure we get the whole coverage of this storm cell. So it's continuing to move off to the east. So expected to move through Java Village and then Orangeville, Middlebury, Warsaw. So at this point, just have some heavy downpours with this, some lightning. But as it continues to move into the more unstable air mass, we could be dealing with some potentially gusty winds, potentially some hail. That's the other thing with this, the current conditions of the atmosphere right now. It's conducive for severe thunderstorm development. So normally when you have a thunderstorm developing, you have the updrafts and downdrafts that develop and then fall right on top of each other. So it kind of fizzles out the storm. But when you have wind shear locally, it can tilt those storms. So then the updrafts and downdrafts are not falling on each other. It is not collapsing. So then it can intensify. That's where you get the hail cores developing and the weather hazards. And as you can see, we just have a severe thunderstorm issued on this particular cell that we've been tracking now with you over the last several minutes. So National Weather Service just issuing this severe thunderstorm warning for this storm cell we've been tracking, just moving through East Aurora. So I'm going to get the latest real-time information for you, just issued, and it goes until 4 p.m. As you can see, it includes portions of central Erie County, extending out toward Genesee and northern Wyoming County. That includes communities such as Attica, Pavilion, Warsaw, and this severe thunderstorm is capable of producing, as we've been mentioning, damaging winds. So a severe thunderstorm warning is issued when it reaches 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And so that's what we're looking at with this particular storm cell. Severe thunderstorm warning continuing for this with these wind gusts of 60 miles per hour in excess potentially. Also quarter-size hail out of this particular cell. All right, so let's put a tracker on this so we can take you through and get a close-up shot of the direction. So it is doing the east and slightly northeast movement, as you can see real time here. So we are going to track this again. And it is moving to the northeast 45 miles per hour. So I can actually put this in our system and track this exactly at 45 miles per hour so we can get a timing for you more clearly of what communities it's expected to impact. So I'm going to update that right now, real time for you, so then we can put a tracker on this. So right now it is moving over East Aurora and it's expected to continue to shift northeast 45 miles per hour. So expecting through Sheldon, Attica, Middlebury, Wyoming, and I want to zoom in and show the communities that we're seeing right now. So Griffin's Mills are seeing potentially the 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, potentially the large hail. Also the criteria for severe thunderstorm warning, you have to have at least inch diameter size hail. So this is potentially quarter-size hail out of this particular thunderstorm. And again, as it's moving into a more unstable air mass, it is going to intensify even more quickly, Dan. So it's something, again, that we've been talking about. We've been really watching closely for the development. You saw just so fast, these things are really popping, these thunderstorms.
Yeah, you know, we've been talking about it all day, that it was going to be this hour where so quickly we were going to see this kind of active development. And here it is while we're on air, while we're on WGRZ Plus, giving you the latest information. Yeah, we got severe weather that is firing up and taking place right at this moment. Again, we do have this latest severe thunderstorm warning that has popped with that cell that we were tracking as it was at one point just a little sprinkle out over the lake. We showed you as it turned into a downpour over Hamburg. And now we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. And again, this lasts through 4 p.m. I was just taking a look at the latest discussion coming out of Norman, Oklahoma, to the Severe Weather Prediction Center. And they do give us about a 60% likelihood that we are going to be issued with a severe thunderstorm watch. So again, they see the ingredients there. We already have warnings. Remember, a watch means the ingredients are there for severe weather. A warning means we have severe weather taking place. So in fact, let's get right back to that live radar, and we're going to show you that cell again, especially inland from Buffalo, now moving into that extreme northwestern corner here of Wyoming County. As we go ahead and dive right in, you can see again the kind of nature of the storm we have here. Even right here, you can kind of see that little bow echo. You've heard me talk about it before. A bow echo is usually a signature of straight line winds, high straight line winds at that. And that's why one of the reasons why we do have this severe thunderstorm warning is the potential for winds gusting 60+ miles per hour. Again, just made its way through East Aurora, the core of that cell. Again, now making its way towards Wales. Again, right along that stretch of 20A, not quite into all of Wyoming County as you get towards, say, Varysburg, Buffalo Hill area. But boy, that storm, it is knocking on the door. Take a look at some of the velocities, because again, this is something we're also going to keep an eye on some of these storm cells. As of right now, don't see a whole lot of what you would call circulation in the atmosphere. Remember what we're looking at here. The green, that is air moving towards the radar site. So how a radar works is it sends a signal out, it hits something, hail, a raindrop, debris in the atmosphere, just something in the atmosphere. Usually it's a raindrop or hail. It then bounces back, sends that piece of information back to the radar. Well, it can determine how quick those objects are moving, and ultimately that's how we get wind speed and also wind direction out of this. And again, what we're looking at here, green represents things that are going towards the radar site. Red represents things that are going away. And what we want to see is we want to really see some bright greens next to some bright reds. And while we do have a little bit of red showing up here, it's not quite what you would call a couplet or any kind of circulation at this point. But nonetheless, severe thunderstorm warning, and whether it's a weak tornado, I say this all the time, there's really not a whole lot of difference between a weak tornado and a severe thunderstorm. The wind speed and strength is about the same. As we do travel up towards Batavia, you can see we do have some light showers. In fact, we do have a live shot along 20A there in Varysburg. So again, taking a look there, and you can see some of the dark clouds there. Jen, you can kind of see it as well. Definitely some lowering of the clouds right there, what you would call a wall cloud, if you will, but definitely some dark, ominous skies right there in Varysburg. You got the windmills going right there. So definitely some heavy rain and some ominous looking clouds right there, Jen. Not seeing any kind of circulation on that image, but nonetheless, this is a nasty storm. And as again, we do take a look and kind of zoom back here. Here's the center of it, moving right through East Aurora. Again, now made its way through Wales. You can see, look at the red showing up, the thunder and lightning that we have out of some of this. And again, as we continue to look at that velocity, not quite seeing that circulation, but nonetheless, severe thunderstorm warning heading towards Pavilion, Leroy. And as we continue to expand out, that's the first. Not probably going to be the last, though, when it comes to severe weather. We have a little cell that just made its way through Boston, a few cells popping up just south of Boston. As you get especially towards Irving and then in and around Dunkirk, Fredonia. We'll have to keep an eye on this cell right here. Just came in off the lake, already got some yellows and reds with it. And again, as it continues to move inland, likely we're going to see that one also increase in strength as we go through the next couple of hours. For now, though, this is the main player in town. This is that first round. This isn't even the actual cold front. We talked about the potential for 2 rounds of severe weather. This is that first round we were mentioning around mid-afternoon. Once this clears, there's still, again, the actual real cold front, and that won't arrive until about 8 p.m. So as I do put this tracker on there for you, again, it is moving to the east at a pretty good clip, 45, 50 miles per hour. So that does push it into Warsaw by 3:22. So about another 7 or so minutes, and eventually towards Geneseo, Livonia, and points further towards the Genesee Valley as we get further into this hour. So these storms, they're going to be the kind of storms where, especially over the next hour, for the most part, you might not be able to track. You might not be able to see this storm kind of move from 40, 50 miles away, and then here it is. It's going to be just like this. Look how quickly this storm over the last hour, again, went from just a few sprinkles out over the lake to once it moved inland, really blossoming here. And if that doesn't tell you the kind of atmosphere that we have today, how quickly this storm went from, again, a couple of sprinkles to a severe thunderstorm warning, that goes to show you right now the kind of atmosphere we are dealing with, and at least here over the next few hours. Again, good news for Buffalo. If you're watching in and around the city, Buffalo, Niagara Falls, we're quiet for now. I don't expect any kind of severe weather in and around the city and Niagara Falls. For now, it's going to be roughly this line, so stretching anywhere from Batavia to where we do have that severe thunderstorm warning back towards Dunkirk, Fredonia. It's that line and points south and east. That's where we're going to be tracking the severe weather, at least with this initial round. So again, putting that tracker back on there for you with this severe thunderstorm warning that we do have. And again, you can see we're making its way through Gowanda right now. Again, Warsaw by 3:22, Geneseo by 3:36, and eventually into the Finger Lakes as we get to the 4 o'clock hour. But once this storm does move out, it does not mean we are done with any stormy weather, Jen. It's still, again, we do have that cold front that is still going to be moving in later this evening.
Yeah, the next several hours, when we've looked at some of the data, the surface up through like the lower 1 to 3 kilometers, we are looking at a very unstable air mass. But the good news is that lake shadow.
That's, yes, absolutely.
Helping us at least have more stability. Still doesn't mean all of us are still under the risk of seeing some of these severe thunderstorms pop in, but at least a lower chance for our northern zone under a slight risk under Storm Prediction Center. But enhanced risk for areas just south and inland, and that's where we're seeing this latest severe thunderstorm warning and the severe thunderstorm cell that continues to move through. Damaging winds expected out of this one. The severe thunderstorm warning does continue until 4 p.m. this evening. It was recently issued and does cover, as you can see, central Erie County extending out to portions of northern Wyoming County and also into Genesee County, extending into Batavia and Warsaw. So I want to take you down in it. And wanted to note, too, there is a storm cell developing near Dunkirk, so I'll take you there in a minute here. But I wanted to start with this one that has the active warning on it. So right now we have some heavy rain as we zoom in through Wales, also just passing through Holland and zooming well in. You can see we could have been dealing with some large hail out of this. You can see those higher DBZ values right through Harris Corner along 20A there. Could be dealing with some hail there down into Wellsville also. And we have the heavy rain there along the 16. Just between South Wales and just North Holland. And as we extend northward, Pearson's Corner, under the heavy rain and just about to probably have some hail move through there. And also as we zoom northward into Danley Corners, heavy rain there, also Attica, and extends all the way into Darien and Alexander. So zooming out, we're already starting to see the frontal portion of that system heading into Attica and right along the 238. And we're going to put a tracker on this. We know it's going east-northeast, 45 miles per hour. So we're going to track this particular storm cell. And as it continues toward Pavilion and Warsaw, expected to arrive Bethany about 3:28 p.m. Pavilion 3:35, Warsaw 3:37, Buffalo Corners 3:45. You can see the list there, and then it'll continue to move out of our viewing area here in Western New York. But right now we continue to track this, and this is the atmosphere locally is conducive to have more of these thunderstorms developing, strong to severe, with the main threats being damaging winds. This particular thunderstorm, the severe thunderstorm warning on it, I mean, we're talking about wind gusts, 60 miles per hour, potential a little bit more than that, and also some large hail. So this is what we're seeing right now. So if you're in communities such as Alexander, Orangeville, Bethany, Pavilion, this is coming your direction right now. And we have a live look. And where is this live look? Dunkirk right now. There's some heavy downpours there. So that was the storm. I was just talking about how we're going to take a look right now there. So we'll come back to this storm, and Dan's going to join us soon too. He's getting his stuff set. But let's go to Dunkirk now. Here's another storm cell that we're continuing to monitor as well. So you can see a live look. We have heavy rain there in the live look at Dunkirk, and then on radar imagery. And I'm just making sure we don't have any alerts on this yet. Right now at the moment we do not. But it wouldn't be surprised if something is issued as it continues to shift into a more unstable atmosphere is what we have locally. So right now we have that heavy rain through Dunkirk, Fredonia, along the 90 there, along the 60 and 20. And this is continuing to shift to the east-northeast. So we will put a tracker on this, and I'm going to put the lightning bolts here. So we are seeing some lightning out of this as well. And we're going to track this moving to the east-northeast. Usually a lot of these storm, the movement is similar. So we're going to track this at 45 miles per hour off to the east-northeast. So communities expecting to see, at least at this point from this thunderstorm, We have some lightning out of it, some heavy rain as we just saw in that live shot. So it's headed toward Cook Corners, Forestville, also Balltown, Nashville, could clip just north of Arkwright. So that continues to shift that direction. So we're looking at an active weather pattern. We're going to continue to see these storms pop in as we continue through the next several hours. And we are going to, you said Varysburg. We have, yes, Varysburg right now. And we have Dave there currently. And we're going to go to him now. Hey there, Dave, you're dealing with some rain there.
All right. Yeah, we're dealing with some rain, and we've been dealing with some lightning. We are just a bit west of Varysburg right now. We've seen a lot of lightning out of here, a lot of rain, and if you just, we're going to have Bronco just pan off to the north there. It's starting to come sideways and in sheets. So this powerful storm that we've seen brewing with thunder and lightning and now increasingly heavy rain has hit the area around Varysburg. We're just north of 20A, a little bit west of Varysburg, and we're still seeing this increase in rapidity and intensity here. This is just the first, as you mentioned, of several storms. This one kind of popped up out of nowhere, so it's I guess it's that, you would know better than I, that sort of pop-up situation before the front arrives. Yeah, if you are out and about and you're headed to one of these areas, you might want to take some precautions, maybe avoid them, because things are getting a little more intense down here as we speak.
All right, Dave McKinley, thank you very much. He is out in it, and he's going to, just like us, be tracking these storms, Dan. I mean, and we're seeing these continuing to develop. We're watching the one near Dunkirk and continuing now much of northern Wyoming County, now seeing the brunt of this severe thunderstorm that's moving through there. Yeah,
Jen, it really is remarkable. Here we are. It's 3:23. You know, we went on air with this streaming a little bit before 3, and when we went on air, that was a little sprinkle. Maybe a little downpour that did make its way over Hamburg. But then just like that, in a matter of 10, 15 minutes, that's how quickly these storms are erupting. And we knew that potential. We saw the ingredients in the atmosphere coming together. And that's why we had a weather impact alert for this afternoon and evening since last week. Again, here's the latest severe thunderstorm warning. That's that cell that we've been tracking, Dave, right in the heart of it there in Varysburg. And again, this warning continues through 4 o'clock. With this storm, the biggest potentially damaging straight line winds, extremely heavy rain. And yes, now look at all the lightning bolts. We're seeing even more and more lightning bolts out of this activity, which means this storm is strengthening. And that means right there, and I'm sure Jen's going to give you the latest information as it comes in here momentarily, but when we have that warning polygon, when it's flashing, that means it is in the process of being updated. So again, we still have this severe thunderstorm warning, northern Wyoming County, southern Genesee County. Again, some really nasty weather, again, moving right into Varysburg. That's really the heart of it here. And this is moving to the east at a pretty good clip at about 55 miles per hour. I know Jen was tracking this a little bit ago, and that's this cell right here, right over Fredonia. And again, it's small, but the same thing that happened with that cell as it made its way over Hamburg. It started out as a downpour, even a little bit of lightning now showing up out of this particular cell. But as it continues to move inland towards Gowanda, towards Concord and places further inland, Springville, we'll have to keep an eye. Wouldn't be surprised if that storm also continues to strengthen as we go to the next few hours. Of course, we've been talking about the potential on our velocity for some weak rotation out of some of this activity. As of right now, not seeing a whole lot, but just within the last couple of moments, again, we'll have to see if this is the windmills or not, but we are seeing a little bit there. Again, that might be just a little bit of ground signature, if you will, because it is. You saw even Dave is sitting right there in the windmills. And remember I talked about how a radar works. It sends out a signal and then it returns to the radar site. Well, that signal also bounces off objects on the ground occasionally, including windmills. So again, something we'll continue to track there as we go through the next couple of minutes. But again, there's that storm again racing through Wyoming County, southern Genesee County, and that line extends back towards Dunkirk. You can kind of see right here this feature. This is a prefrontal trough, and this will continue to roll on through. Again, for Buffalo and Niagara Falls, we're quiet for now. However, as we do expand out. After this line does clear, and you can see we do have the tracker on there for you, Warsaw, 331. So over the next 5-10 minutes, conditions are going to deteriorate very quickly. Gowanda, I mentioned that storm cell. It's going to be passing, looks like just north of Gowanda, but roughly around 342. And then again, a lot of this activity will begin to move more into the Genesee Valley, into the Finger Lakes once we do get into the 4 o'clock hour. That doesn't mean, though, we are done with potentially stormy weather. So yes, while this round will be exiting over the next hour or so, we still have this. This is the actual cold front sitting off to our north and west. Doesn't have a whole lot of activity along it, but there are a few scattered showers and thunderstorms, one of which does have a severe thunderstorm warning here. You can see just north of Detroit, and that's the front that will still arrive roughly around 8 o'clock. So even once some of this activity does clear, we still have the potential for that next round again later this evening. And of course, all this is again just bumping into a super ripe atmosphere. Look at the latest temperature, 77 in Buffalo, 82 in Batavia. That's the warmth that storm I just showed you, that severe thunderstorm. That's the warmth it is kind of bumping into. Look at Dansville. 89 degrees right now. That is crazy, exceptional warmth. And it's that heat, again, it's that type of summer heat that is why we're seeing showers and storms really fire up. The other thing that's happening, the other ingredient, we have a lot of wind energy. It's already a breezy afternoon. Now, it is this breeze rolling in off of Lake Erie. That's why one of the reasons why we're not expecting any severe weather, at least in and around the city, as it does have a little bit of a stabilizing influence there. But that same gusty wind is even higher, about 1,015 feet here off the surface. And what thunderstorms like they do, they get a lot of kind of movement in the atmosphere, if you will. And eventually we see that movement from areas of mid-atmosphere down to the surface, and that's what allows some of those higher winds that are in the atmosphere to potentially mix down. So again, if you are just tuning in, we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning in place. Again, as I kind of go back here through our graphics, again, for areas of northern Wyoming County and Genesee County. And right there, I was just mentioning, it's one thing about being live streaming. I was just mentioning, Jen, a little bit ago, that 60% likelihood for a severe thunderstorm watch. Well, you can kind of see all of western New York flashing here in this salmon kind of shade here. We are now under that severe thunderstorm watch here through this evening.
Yeah, you could feel me trying to get your attention, and then you saw it. Yeah, that severe thunderstorm watch literally just issued moments ago. Severe thunderstorm watch for all of western New York and into northern Pennsylvania. Goes until 10 p.m. this evening, folks. So we're going to be continuing to track this for the next many, many hours. And then finally that cold front will come through and stabilize our air mass. But until then, we're going to continue to see these thunderstorms. They are developing, they're popping, they're intensifying, and the greatest threats is the high winds, the damaging wind gusts out of these 60 miles per hour, and also some large hail. And that's what we're tracking right now across portions of Wyoming County into Genesee counties. That's where we continue to have this severe thunderstorm warning. So I'm going to zoom back into there. We got that watch covered, as you can see, and now we're zooming into where this activity is happening. And we've been tracking this thunderstorm that we watched it start from just a rain shower, heading inland, move into a more instability, more unstable air mass, and just kind of explode into a severe thunderstorm. So we've been tracking that for you real time the last 30 minutes, and now it continues to having more frequent lightning out of it. We're looking at storm reports to see if we're getting some hail out of this officially, but some of these, the reflectivity, the high DBZ values are showing potentially a hail core in this severe thunderstorm. So I'm going to zoom in on this and pause it so we can show you the communities being impacted by this as it races off to the east and northeast. So the latest severe thunderstorm warning on this particular thunderstorm, it continues till 4 p.m. and that's for northern Wyoming County into, as you can see, southern Genesee County, and it includes Attica, Pavilion. It's now racing toward Warsaw, and we have again the potential of seeing some damaging wind gusts out of this, 60 mile per hour winds. Large hail, quarter-size hail potentially out of this. So kind of the core of this storm cell is coming through now. Attica Center into Dutch Flats, and it's just the worst of it passed through Sheldon as it continues to make its way eastward. Orangeville now starting to get it, and we are seeing Varysburg now the heaviest rain. Our Dave McKinley was out there just earlier where there was just starting to become heavy rain. Now we got some heavy downpours there. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some hail now moving through there as well as this storm continues to move off to the east. All right, Middlebury, starting to see the heavy rain coming in, also Linden, and as we zoom more north here, I wanted to show you Attica. The heaviest rain has now just shifted out of there, but it's right along the 238 there. I want to show you now this severe thunderstorm warning. As you see it blinking, flashing, that's an update, and I just want to click on that and make sure we are not missing anything. All right, so the update is ping pong ball size hail, potentially, this storm is capable of producing, and also still those damaging winds of 60 miles per hour. So it's moving off, racing to the east, 45 miles per hour. And I want to put a tracker on this for you because we continue to see the communities it's expected to continue to impact. So this is what we're going to start with, is the northern part of it that's just reaching near Batavia. But as you can see, it is shifting toward Leroy. It'll be there at 3:40, but 3:39 p.m. And then it'll continue off from there, and Pavilion, you can see, is also expected about that time frame. And I'm going to make sure I get the southern section of this storm cell and probably the more hazardous section of it too, where we're seeing potentially the hail out of this and even the damaging wind gusts as well. But the hail, it looks like it's affecting places near Sheldon 20A. So that's continuing to move eastward. Middlebury, as you can see, Warsaw, Perry Center, and also Geneseo. So I'm going to zoom in once again, and I just want to check on Dunkirk, okay, because we had that storm cell moving through Dunkirk. You can see there's kind of a little area here now developing even further across portions of southern Erie County. So that's another area we're going to continue to keep a close eye on, because as these storms are shifting eastward, they're tapping into that more unstable air mass and just building vertically, and it's conducive for the severe thunderstorm development. These storms are starting to tilt. They're able to establish that hail core and then dump it. So this is what we're seeing right now with that severe thunderstorm that's moving through northern Wyoming County into Genesee County. So right now we just have that one weather alert in terms of severe thunderstorm warning continuing for portions of Wyoming and Genesee, extending from Warsaw up to near Batavia. And then we had that severe thunderstorm watch continuing for our entire area, all of Western New York and into northern Pennsylvania. And Dan, I'm even just tracking northern PA right now. We have a couple the cells starting to develop right now near Shingle House. I mean, so there's a lot of coverage, a lot to keep an eye on, because even though we have inland and south where we have the most instability, our whole area is under a risk of severe weather.
Yep, that severe thunderstorm watch just issued here over the last not even 10 minutes. Again, issued at 3:28 while we were coming at you live here on WGRZ+. And again, along with this severe thunderstorm watch, what that means, and we've already knew this, is that all the ingredients are there for potential severe weather. And now, again, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. What a warning means is we have severe weather taking place. And again, this is especially true northern Wyoming County, southern half of Genesee County. This warning continues for another 26 minutes, so through 4 o'clock. The biggest concern out of this, potentially damaging straight line winds, but just look at all this frequent cloud to ground lightning. Again, this went from nothing about a half hour ago to blossoming into this storm that is, again, making its way right along that 28 corridor. You saw Dave McKinley a little bit ago in Varysburg getting crushed. You could hear the thunder and lightning, the heavy rain. And again, this stretches just made its way through Attica, Pavilion. Again, your weather is going to be deteriorating here over the next 5-10 minutes. Warsaw, your weather is going to be deteriorating here pretty quickly over the next 5 to 10 minutes. And again, Orangeville, conditions certainly have deteriorated there. Middlebury, again, heavy rain, frequent cloud to ground lightning, and these potentially damaging wind gusts. And yes, there is, and we've been mentioning this, a slight chance of a weak tornado trying to spin up. So we do continue to take a look. What we're looking at are velocities here, and especially at the center of that storm. And while we are picking up some reds here, some greens, and again, what we're seeing here is wind direction, green, wind towards the radar site, red, away from the radar site. Not quite seeing any kind of couplet at this point, which is certainly some good news, but I say it all the time. There's really no difference between a weak tornado and a severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing winds 60 to 70 miles per hour. roughly about the same strength. And of course, we continue to monitor this storm cell as it continues to show signs of strengthening. No warnings with this storm cell, but nonetheless, it's pretty nasty here, making its way, again, just north of Gowanda, in and around Collins, right there along Route 62 there. Again, this will continue to move inland as well towards Boston and Concord and eventually towards Wyoming County as well, especially the southern half here of Wyoming County. And again, take a look at velocities here. No issues there. But as we do continue to kind of expand out, there's the main player for now. But Jen was just mentioning the atmosphere just bubbling over. And you can kind of see it with some of these popcorn kind of cells that are beginning to fire up, especially into areas of Allegheny County. You can see a couple of little isolated showers, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder. Not seeing any severe weather out of some of this activity, but you can see just kind of the isolated downpours of this. And this is all very much hit or miss. I was even telling some people earlier today, if you have any outdoor plans, you can keep them, but you need to stay weather aware in case you do need to take cover, because you can see the overall coverage here, not necessarily widespread, but where it is hitting, of course, it is certainly packing a punch. And as we do put this tracker on there for you again, as it continues to move to the east at about 45 miles per hour, you can see some of the areas that will eventually be under the gun, but a lot of this, especially as we get into the 4 o'clock hour, this initial round will begin to relax. And I know we have that watch into late evening. It's really going to be around 8 p.m. when we're going to be tracking that next potential round of severe weather, 7, 8 p.m. And that's with the arrival of this guy right here. This is the actual cold front. This is what's actually trying to trigger this activity. This is a cold front that's still sitting off to our north and west. It doesn't look all that impressive, but it will at least give us another chance for some more hit or miss showers and storms even later this evening. But of course, all eyes right now on this storm as it continues to make its way through portions of Wyoming County and southern half of Genesee County. Also tracking some of this activity really beginning to blossom there just west of Cleveland. We'll have to keep an eye on some of that activity as it continues to race across northern Pennsylvania over the next couple of hours, especially as it does make its way towards McKee and Potter County here as we get towards, say, 6:30 or so. And again, that's some of this active weather you see just south of Erie, Pennsylvania, seeing some storms really beginning to fire up there as well. But of course, we do want to send you back out to where the weather is active, and Dave McKinley. So Dave, how's it looking out there now?
A lot better, my friend, than it had been looking the last time we spoke, which was, I guess, 15 minutes ago. I don't know. The last time we spoke, we were looking at ominous dark clouds, lots of lightning. I should tell you, we're just a little bit west of Varysburg, north of 28. And we had real dark clouds. We had lightning, thunder out here. And then after we went off air, because we were worried about the equipment, the rain started. I can best describe it, Dan, as being like in a car wash, really. That's what it was like. We couldn't even see out the car windows. That storm is dissipated and gone, but you could see right here what was dry land a little while ago. You see a lot of ponding right here, to give you an idea of just how much rain fell in such a short amount of time. And so right now, it's pretty good. I actually see the sun trying to peek through the clouds. We'll keep on it here in western New York today as we watch for this weather impact day, and we'll send it back inside to you.
All right, Dave, make sure you stay dry. And again, these storms are certainly producing a lot of rain very quickly, Jen. Not only a lot of frequent cloud to ground lightning, but yeah, you saw it there, the amount of rain, the amount of water that these storms can just squeeze out in the atmosphere. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, very heavy rain. And also, Dan, you touched upon it too, the relative velocity, where we're seeing the winds going opposite direction. And we want to see, in general, where we see the green going toward the radar, red away. And we're looking for that couplet where the green and red is right next to each other. And you had mentioned, Dan, we were trying to continue to track that severe thunderstorm through Sheldon. We were taking a very close eye on relative velocity to make sure we weren't seeing that. And we were noticing just potentially a little bit, as you can see near Sheldon along the 77, this, as we tracked this over the last 20 minutes here, a little bit of green red next to each other, but look at that, it just completely falls apart as it continues through Dutch Flats. So, and then you take it up one more tilt level, as we call it in the radar, and there's nothing. So we're continuing to track, I mean, these storms, not only as we see on radar, but we're looking even up the upper levels of the lower atmosphere too, to kind of dissect this severe thunderstorm to see what's happening within it too. On that note, we are seeing some high, what we call DBZ values, reflectivity here. Weather impact alert, of course, continues through the afternoon and into the evening hours as we track these storms. But the high reflectivity here, Dutch Flats, indicating potentially a hail core. So that would be large hail potentially with this severe thunderstorm. And this warning on it right now does cover the not only quarter-size hail, but potentially ping-pong-size hail. That's the kind of instability that our atmosphere, the weather parameters right now, are capable of producing. So as these thunderstorms move through, be ready for potentially not only damaging winds and also large hail, very heavy rain, but we're also still under a very low, slight risk of maybe a pop-up weak tornado. So that's what we're continuing to track here. This storm right now that has a severe thunderstorm warning on it continuing until 4 p.m. This has wind gusts indicated 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts potentially. Although you can see it is, Dan, kind of weakening a little bit as we take a look over the last few minutes here. Not as high with those DBZ values.
Yep.
And Middlebury, though, getting still that heavy rain, potentially maybe smaller hail, still some gusty winds out of this. Pavilion as well, Salt Vale, and we still have this severe thunderstorm warning on this as it continues to move off to the east at about 45 miles per hour.
It's remarkable how quickly these storms just blossomed here over the last hour, and even within the last hour, they're ebbing and flowing, they're strengthening, they're weakening a bit, still very strong, and that's why we still have a severe thunderstorm warning for that particular storm as it's making its way through. Again, southern Genesee County, northern Wyoming County will be pushing into Livingston County here momentarily. All of western New York and northern Pennsylvania, again, is now under a severe thunderstorm watch here through this evening. But as we told you, this coming in 2 rounds. This is the first round, and then there's going to be potentially another one here later this evening. But yes, we still have the severe thunderstorm warning. Jem was just talking about the potential for winds gusting 60, 65 miles per hour. And yes, some large hail out of this storm as well. Look at some of the frequent cloud to ground lightning. Again, this storm continues to make its way towards Livingston County, but you can see just past at least the core of it, just north of Warsaw and in around Wyoming right now. Wyoming and Wyoming County getting crushed. And again, that stretch of 19 up towards Pavilion. Some really rough weather when it comes to torrential rain, frequent cloud to ground lightning. Again, that is the core right there, that Route 19 in and around Wyoming and Middlebury. Again, that is where we are seeing the worst of the weather. And again, as we do take a look at the velocities, we got quite a bit of bright red, but what we don't have along it is the brighter green. So yeah, we have a lot of wind energy going in one direction. It is going away from the radar site. So that's what it's showing you. This is showing us the potential for some very strong straight line winds right here. That's what this represents. Some very strong straight line winds that are going to be heading again as you get towards Buffalo Corners and eventually into areas of Livingston County. But we're still tracking, well, again, we don't have a warning with this particular cell. We are still tracking this isolated little thunder shower that's now making its way into Boston, Concord, the 219 area. Again, just north of Collins with some torrential rain. Doesn't have a whole lot of thunder and lightning with it, but there are a few lightning strikes here, and we'll continue to see this, especially as it continues to move inland and possibly strengthen as well. Again, the radar site showing you we don't have any rotation with it, but still at least some decent wind, even out of that little guy right there. But that, of course, is the main player for now, although it will be exiting western New York and moving in more into the Genesee Valley and the Finger Lakes as we go through the next 20 to 30 or so minutes. Again, if you're watching in Buffalo, Niagara Falls, all quiet. And this was never going to be a super widespread event, but where we do have the active weather, at least the potential for some very strong storms. And yeah, we've already seen that again with the hail and the potential damaging winds. And as we do put that tracker on there again, making its way out of western New York here as we get into the 4 o'clock hour. But don't let your guard down. Even if you have any evening plans, we still have potentially another round. We're going to be keeping an eye on some of this activity towards northern Pennsylvania, again, passing just south of Erie, Pennsylvania. That's tracking due east. Well, I think the majority, if not all of that, will remain south of New York. If you are watching, especially especially towards McKee, Potter counties here as we get into this evening. I think this is the round of thunder showers that will be rolling overhead as we go through the evening hours. And yeah, there's a potential for some of those while there's no warnings at this point. Just like we have seen, even those storms will have the potential to strengthen here as we go to the next couple of hours. I think for Buffalo and Niagara Falls, it's going to be roughly around 7 o'clock, and even this isn't a lock, but we do have a cold front that is sitting off to our north and west. That's this feature right here. This is the front that will eventually be settling towards us late evening, and that's when we'll have at least one more chance for a passing shower or thunderstorm, including even in around Buffalo up towards Niagara Falls. For now, though, that activity is inland, and again, look at Dansville. Look at the warmth that this atmosphere contains here in late April. Very impressive, 89 degrees. That's the heat. I say it all the time. You need rising motion in the atmosphere to create active weather. That's what heat does. It creates a lot of rising motion, and you throw some good winds in the atmosphere as well. Again, here are the latest gusts. These are at the surface. These aren't with the storms. These are just general wind gusts all across western New York, even approaching 40 miles per hour. The severe thunderstorm threshold for wind, 60 miles per hour. So it doesn't take a whole lot when you already have this much wind energy in the atmosphere to allow these storms to blossom and potentially get to those severe levels. And you can see our Future Look did a great job here of picking up this initial round of activity. Again, racing to the east, a little lull, and then again around 7, 8 o'clock, we'll have one more chance for another passing shower as the actual cold front does drop in. Now, once it does, things will clear out here very quickly as we go through the overnight, even here by midnight. We're done. Skies are clearing out. We have cooler, refreshing air moving in. By tomorrow morning, we'll have temperatures upper 30s, low 40s. Oh no, not too bad tomorrow. We'll have sunshine, much quieter conditions than what we are currently seeing with Jen. So, Jen, again, very impressive here how quickly these storms have just blossomed over the last just hour, if that.
Yeah, and we've been sitting here waiting for the last several hours, just seeing all the components and weather parameters coming together. We're like, it's gonna happen. We're just sitting here, and we're continuing to track a couple of storms moving through. One has a severe thunderstorm warning on it. That's that one through Wyoming County and also through Genesee County. We're also now looking at this storm right near Concord. It's developing rapidly, so I'm going to take you there. But first, wanted to start with the severe thunderstorm warning we continue to have to include Warsaw. You can see a lot of frequent lightning with that. Still expecting to see some gusty winds from this, about 60 miles per hour, potentially damaging. Also hail, and even one warning at one point recently had ping pong ball size hail potentially out of this, quarter size hail. So keep that in mind. If you are in these areas, you should have already probably moved inside, seek safe shelter and interior lowest floor. So right now we have that warning continuing on this until 4 p.m. That includes Pavilion and south just near Warsaw. So I'm going to take the warning off so then we can zoom in here and show you exactly what the community is being impacted by this particular severe thunderstorm. So right now we have some heavy rain and also some potentially damaging wind gusts and large hail moving through Pearl Creek right now, Pavilion, right along the 246 where it intersects with 63, down into LaGrange, and also when we zoom in here a little more, we can see Covington and right around along York Road. So that's where the heaviest downpours are expected. The strongest part of the storm cell still moving through that southeastern corner of Genesee County and that northeastern section of Wyoming County. And then this warning should be set to expire at 4 p.m. as it does shift out of those counties. Then we're going to continue to watch now a couple more storm cells now developing, and we do have lightning bolts of some of these. The one in Boston right now has some lightning out of this one. So we're going to zoom in there as this one is continuing to bring some heavy rain, potentially some gusty winds. Could maybe see some small hail out of this. Clarksburg right along the 75 into Langford. So we're seeing this, and all these storms are moving off to the east and northeast about 45 miles per hour. So this is where the community is being impacted by this storm cell in Erie County right now. Central southern Erie County, right along the 219 into Boston, and Colden expected to get hit with this storm. It's heading that direction right along the 240 there as well. So I'm going to put a tracker on this, and I'll tell you the communities that it's expected to impact. Colden, Holland, Dutchtown, Java Village from this. And we're going to continue to monitor this closely. I want to make sure we don't have any warnings on this yet as we continue to watch these. All right, so this is that cell. I want to take you now to the one in Holland, just north of Holland, that we're also tracking here. So this is right along the 16 up through South Wales. We have some very heavy rain there too. As we zoom way in, you can see right now Hunters Creek Road getting some heavy rain there. I know we're getting onto the evening commute now, so keep this in mind as you head home. We are going to continue to deal with these thunderstorms developing, shifting off to the east and northeast. So expect some heavy downpours out of these, some frequent lightning, gusty winds, and we just have a new warning issued for that storm cell that I was just tracking with you right along the 219 there north of Concord. So let's get the details for you. So this is a new severe thunderstorm warning now issued. This goes until 4:45 p.m. This includes a portion of Erie County, as you can see, Wales, and also across that central portion of Erie County extending out to Attica and Warsaw. So we have that one storm that's now exiting Genesee County, and now we have this new one coming in. So this is kind of what we're going to be dealing with over the next several hours as these storms continue to develop and move off to the east. So with this storm, we are looking at movement east-northeast 45 miles per hour as well. Once again, those gusting winds, damaging winds potentially in excess of 60 miles per hour, and large hail potentially damaging as well, quarter-size hail. So this is another one that we will continue to track closely and monitor as the storms continue to move eastward. They are tapping into a more unstable air mass, and thus able to strengthen and become even more potentially hazardous and damaging. Dan.
Jen, can you believe that temperature in Dansville right now? 89 degrees.
It is giving the fuel for the storms in many regards. A lot of weather parameters in place for this.
And that's exactly why. And these storms are moving towards that warmth there, towards the Genesee Valley, and they are erupting even more so. Take a look from downtown. Again, downtown, we're still picking up summery conditions. You kind of see, though, the camera shaking around here. That gusty breeze has certainly picked up, and we're trying to look into the hills here. If you look in the distance, you can see the Chautauqua Ridge. Again, that's where we are seeing that active weather. Temperatures still well into the 70s. And again, sustained winds now at 24 miles per hour, but we're seeing those gusts in that 30 to 40 mile per hour range. And just like that, as Jen was just showing you, that new severe thunderstorm warning, again, for that cell that made its way through Dunkirk and Fredonia, again, just north of Gowanda, continuing to move inland. All of Western New York, again, is under the severe thunderstorm watch, which means all of Western New York has at least ingredients there for the next few hours where we could be dealing with some of this active weather. And remember, when we have a severe thunderstorm warning, that means we have severe weather taking place right now. And again, a new severe thunderstorm warning for these areas. Southern Erie County, pushing to northern Wyoming County, southern Genesee County, training over a lot of the same spots, maybe just south, but a lot of the same spots that we've been tracking this initial cell as it was making its way through. And we still have a severe thunderstorm warning with this cell as well. Look at all the lightning we're seeing out of this activity. Certainly some very high cloud tops here, helping to bring also the potential for some hail. Again, this storm now beginning to move out of our viewing area, but what's not is what we have upstream. And as we continue to travel down this line that has developed, this is the new severe thunderstorm warning that we have in place. And again, Boston getting crushed right now with some torrential rain. Now, unlike that storm that we saw that's making its way over Pavilion right now, notice this activity. While we do still have some thunder and lightning, not quite as frequent, but